Welcome, dear friend, to a unique odyssey into the very heart of Greek mythology, where ancient tales whisper timeless lessons that resonate deeply within our souls. In this profound journey, you will discover that ancient power isn't merely found in thunderbolts or magic. It lies intimately woven into the emotions, the weighty decisions, and the enduring wisdom imparted by these divine beings. From the absolute authority of Zeus to Hera's fiery loyalty, the serene majesty of Hades, and the intricate beauty of Aphrodite, you will witness Athena's wisdom clashing with Ares' raw might, the world-shaping creativity of Hermes and Hephaestus, and the delicate balance between Hestia's inner peace and Dionysus's wild ecstasy. Whether a god or a mortal, you will come to realize that life is a symphony of many powers, and true strength lies in the ability to understand, embrace yourself, and find serenity amidst the world's beautiful complexities. So relax, close your eyes, and allow these stories to gently guide you into peaceful slumber, where profound reflections on Olympus continue to unfold within your dreams. If your soul feels a gentle resonance, like a golden thread connecting you to this wondrous journey, please tenderly press the like button, and then grace our home by subscribing to the channel so you won't miss any upcoming adventures into the realm of wonders. And, my dear, a small whisper, please share where you are immersing yourself in this story, so we may feel a warm connection even across vast distances. Welcome to the dazzling heights of Mount Olympus, a place where marble gleams under an eternal sun like polished dreams come to life, and the air itself hums with the electric energy of divinity, a symphony of unseen forces. Tonight, as you settle deeper into your sanctuary, a cocoon of calm, we're not just observing. You're being led straight to the throne room, to the very heart of power. And there, larger than life, sits Zeus, the king of the gods, Lord of the sky, and the living, breathing, often scandalous, embodiment of absolute authority. You might imagine a stoic, unblemished deity carved from pure, unyielding might, like a mountain hewn by divine hands. But tonight, we're peeling back the gilded layers like an ancient scroll unfurling its secrets. We're going to unveil the true power of the sovereign's crown, how it molds a ruler, shaping souls like clay, and the irresistible temptations and crushing burdens that come with wielding ultimate dominion, a weight heavier than the very sky itself, especially the power to shape the fates of others, and the surprising toll it can take on the very soul of the one who holds it. Think of it not just as a throne, but as a double-edged sword, a glittering menace constantly testing the hand that grips it. Let's wind back the clock, like rewinding a cosmic film, far before Zeus became the thunder-wielding patriarch we know. His origin story, much like many family histories, is complicated, a tangled tapestry of destiny and dysfunction. You see, his father Cronus, the Titan king, had a rather unsettling habit. He was a proactive, if somewhat extreme, parent who believed in dealing with threats before they materialized. His solution to a prophecy stating one of his children would overthrow him? swallowing them whole. Yes, you heard that right. Not a time-out, not a grounding, but a literal, unchewed consumption, a terrifying ritual of paternal paranoia. One by one, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon disappeared into the vast cosmic gullet of their father, like particularly uncooperative vitamins vanishing down a gullet. You can almost picture poor Rhea, their mother, trying to keep a brave face, perhaps humming a lullaby as her newborns vanished like falling stars into a black hole, one after another, into the abyss of paternal paranoia. It's enough to make you hug your own kids a little tighter, isn't it? A silent plea for their safety. But Rhea, bless her determined heart, a beacon in the darkness, had a plan, a desperate gamble that hinged on Cronician's, let's call it, lack of attention to detail. When Zeus, her sixth child, was born, she didn't present him to Cronus for his usual digestive ritual. Instead, she wrapped a stone in swaddling clothes, presented it as the newest addition to the family, a stony impostor, and watched as Cronus, with the intellectual curiosity of a hungry pigeon, a mind as sharp as a dull butter knife, swallowed it without a second thought. You have to wonder about the Titans sometimes, don't you? Such immense power, like dormant volcanoes, yet sometimes the critical thinking skills of a turnip, as dense as forgotten ages. Meanwhile, little baby Zeus was whisked away to the island of Crete, hidden in a cave, a secret cradle in the earth's embrace, where he was raised by nymphs, gentle spirits of the wild, and fed by a magical goat named Amalthea, whose milk was ambrosia to his growing might. He grew up not in the stifling, paranoid halls of his father, but in the wild, untamed embrace of nature, a boundless classroom, learning the whispers of the wind, the ancient secrets carried on the breeze, and the language of the storms, the roaring dialect of raw power. This early life, free from the heavy hand of Cronus, forged in him a wild independence, a spirit untamed as a wild stallion, a spirit that craved freedom not just for himself, but for those unjustly imprisoned. It was in this freedom that the seeds of his future sovereignty and its inherent contradictions were truly sown, like tiny acorns destined to become mighty oaks. As Zeus matured, the whispers of his true lineage and the grim fate of his siblings reached him, like distant thunder growing louder. Imagine the weight of that truth. Not only were you destined to confront your father, but your very existence was a living testament to his tyranny, a defiant spark in the dark, and your siblings were quite literally trapped inside him, human-shaped echoes in a monstrous belly. This wasn't just about a prophecy, it was about family, a tangled knot of loyalty and pain, about justice, a burning flame in his heart, and about a deep-seated desire to right an ancient wrong. Zeus didn't just stumble into leadership, he embraced it with the fervor of a revolutionary, a comet streaking across the cosmic night. He was a storm cloud gathering, brimming with suppressed fury, ready to unleash the thunder of change. He returned, disguised, to Cronus's palace, where he served him a special drink, a potent emetic, custom-made for Titans with a severe case of indigestion, a bitter medicine for a bitter king. And then the grand expulsion. One by one, his siblings were regurgitated, fully grown, fully divine, and understandably quite miffed about their prolonged stay in their father's digestive tract. It must have been quite the family reunion, a divine drama unfolding, a mix of relief, awkward introductions, and a collective burning desire for cosmic payback, a shared fire of vengeance. This act, while grotesque, marked the true beginning of Zeus's rise, a powerful prologue to his reign, a testament to his audacious strategic mind, a chessboard played out on a cosmic scale. The ensuing conflict was nothing short of epic, the Titanomachy. This wasn't merely a war, it was a cosmic upheaval. A universe turned upside down, a generational struggle for the very fabric of existence, a battle for the soul of creation. On one side, Cronus and his fellow Titans, ancient and formidable, representing the old order, a crumbling monument to tyranny, raw power, and primal chaos. On the other, Zeus and his siblings, the Olympians, representing a new, more ordered, though still volatile era, a nascent dawn breaking through ancient night. You might picture grand, sweeping battles, a ballet of destruction. But for Zeus, it was a crucible, a forge of leadership. He wasn't just a general. He was the youngest, the one who had freed them, and thus the one on whose shoulders the hopes of a new pantheon rested, a burden heavy as the heavens. He rallied his siblings, forged alliances with forgotten giants and cyclopes, who, as a thank you, crafted his mighty thunderbolts, weapons forged from the heart of storms, and stared down the overwhelming power of his father. It was a war fought not just with physical might, but with sheer will, an unbreakable shield, ingenuity, a cunning blade, and the unshakable belief that a better way of ruling, a different kind of power, was possible, a shimmering vision in the chaos. This period was Zeus's proving ground, a test by fire, transforming him from a rebellious son into the undeniable leader of a burgeoning dynasty, a king in the making. He learned the harsh realities of command, the weight of responsibility for countless lives, even immortal ones, and the grim necessity of making impossible choices, decisions that sliced through peace like a thunderbolt. The decisive victory came, and Cronus, along with most of the Titans, was banished to Tartarus, the deepest, darkest pit of the underworld, a prison where echoes of despair lingered. And there Zeus stood, triumphant, a colossus against the sky. The new king. But here's where the unveiling truly begins. You see, absolute power, once attained, isn't simply a reward. It's a constant test, a relentless whisper in the ear. For Zeus, the very traits that made him a revolutionary leader, his audacity, a reckless flame, his drive, an unstoppable river, his boundless energy, also became the seeds of his future complications, tiny dragons nesting in his soul. He was a force of nature, a hurricane in human, or rather divine, form, a god whose very essence vibrated with life and creation. He set the rules for Olympus, established a new order, and then, with an alarming frequency, proceeded to bend, twist, or outright break them, especially when it came to his romantic escapades. Think of him as the CEO who wrote the company handbook, but then decided certain sections were more guidelines than strict rules. A charming loophole artist, especially when a new shiny business opportunity presented itself in the form of a beautiful mortal or goddess, a dazzling distraction. His numerous affairs weren't just random acts of divine indulgence. They were, in a strange way, an expression of his colossal, uncontainable power, an overflowing cup of vitality. A power that demanded constant expansion, constant conquest, even in matters of the heart, a relentless tide of desire. He was a god whose very essence vibrated with life and creation, and that energy often found its outlet in a lot of children. You can almost hear his internal monologue. But darling, how can I be the lord of the sky if I can't even visit the beautiful maidens on earth? It's practically a divine duty. A sacred obligation, really, for cosmic balance, you see. It's humorous, yes, but also deeply telling. His inability to restrain himself, despite the furious wrath of his queen, Hera, a storm cloud of fury herself, wasn't necessarily born of malice, but of an overwhelming, almost childlike compulsion. It was the absolute power of creation, untamed, unregulated, constantly seeking new vessels for its expression, like a wild river bursting its banks. This reveals a profound truth about power. It doesn't just corrupt, it amplifies. It takes whatever is at the core of a being and magnifies it, for better or for worse. For Zeus, it magnified his magnificent, yet often messy vitality, a glittering chaos. But behind the thunderous laughter and the endless pursuit of new conquests, there was also, perhaps, a whisper of loneliness, a silent echo in the grand halls. To be at the absolute peak, to be the ultimate authority, means carrying a burden no one else can truly share. Every decision, every judgment, every decree ultimately falls on your shoulders. You are the final word, the ultimate arbiter of fates. And while that might sound exhilarating, imagine the weight of constantly having to be on, a spotlight never dimming, to be the unwavering center of an entire pantheon, a cosmic pivot point, to always be the one everyone turns to, fears, or petitions. Even for a god, that's a lot. The throne, while dazzling, can also be an isolating perch, a gilded prison atop the world. It's a subtle twist, a quiet counterpoint to the booming persona, but it suggests that even absolute power comes with its own unique form of solitude, a cold companion, a silent echo in the vast halls of Olympus. So, as we conclude this story, and as you drift deeper into comfort, let's ponder this. When power becomes absolute, does it truly liberate you, or does it simply trap you in a gilded cage of responsibility and temptation, a beautiful, heavy burden? Zeus, with all his thunderbolts and numerous offspring, ultimately illustrates that the greatest power isn't merely the ability to command, but the wisdom to wield that command with restraint, compassion, and a deep understanding of its ultimate cost, a price paid in quiet solitude. The power of choice and the immense responsibility of the one who governs reverberate through his tale, a timeless echo in the chambers of power, reminding us that even the mightiest among us grapple with the very human struggle of balancing desire with duty. You've seen the thunder and the wild, boundless energy of Zeus, a force of nature in a crown. Now let's tiptoe into a quieter, yet arguably far more volatile corner of Olympus. Tonight we step into the grand, often stormy domain of Hera, queen of the gods and the divine custodian of marriage and family. You might envision a regal figure, a sculpted ideal of wifely virtue, radiating serene wisdom. But this story, like a perfectly wrapped gift with a slightly unsettling ticking sound inside, will unveil a different truth: the profound ache and surprisingly potent power of jealousy. It's a force that can both fiercely protect, like a lioness guarding her cubs, and ruthlessly destroy, a wildfire in the soul. We'll ask ourselves if unwavering fidelity always promises happiness, a golden key to a gilded cage, and if the heart's most primal cries can truly be silenced by logic or divine decree. Prepare for a journey into the complex, often contradictory heart of a queen. Hera's story, much like her husband's, begins with a parental predicament, though hers involved less consumption and more indigestion. As you may recall from our previous story, Cronus had a particularly unsavory habit of swallowing his offspring. Hera, bless her little divine self, endured this rather uncomfortable prenatal experience along with her siblings until Zeus, a divine liberator, staged his grand gastric revolt. So imagine being born not into the light, but into the darkness of your father's stomach, a temporary cramped residence, only to be violently reintroduced to the world via a divine expulsion. It's not exactly the picturesque birthing scene you see on ancient pottery, is it? This unique entry into existence, however, perhaps instilled in Hera an early, primal craving for stability, for belonging, for a home that wouldn't literally try to eat her. She longed for a bond that couldn't be dissolved, a commitment as solid as the very foundation of Olympus itself, a yearning carved deep within her immortal being. Her desire for a complete, unwavering love and the steadfast commitment wasn't merely a whim. It was a foundational need, a bedrock principle of her very essence. She was, after all, destined to be the goddess of marriage, a divine embodiment of vows and partnerships. So when Zeus, her charismatic thunder-wielding brother, began to court her, she was initially wary, a cautious deer in a field of promises. He wasn't exactly known for his subtle charm, often resorting to rather dramatic transformations, a cuckoo bird, a golden shower, a literal swan to win affections. You'd think a god could just, ask. But Zeus, bless his boisterous heart, loved a theatrical entrance. Hera, however, was no pushover. Their courtship was a dance of power, a cosmic tango, with Zeus trying to sweet-talk, and Hera a fortress of dignified skepticism, demanding something more. He promised her the world, a celestial dowry, and a partnership that would elevate them both to the pinnacle of power. And finally, she consented, entering into a sacred union that promised eternal fidelity. She truly believed in the sanctity of their bond, a sacred thread woven by destiny, seeing it as the ultimate expression of love and order. But alas, dear friend, the ink on their divine marriage certificate had barely dried before Zeus's wandering eye, a restless wanderer in a field of flowers, began its habitual scanning of the cosmos. Hera, the queen of the universe, goddess of marriage, yet constantly being humiliated by her husband's philandering. It's enough to make even the most patient goddess want to hurl a lightning bolt or two. And hurled them she did, metaphorically, of course. Her jealousy wasn't merely a petty emotion, it was a deeply wounded pride, a festering wound on her regal spirit, a betrayal of the sacred trust she held so dear. It was the crushing realization that the very power she cherished, the power of fidelity, was being openly mocked by the one who should have upheld it most. Her revenge, therefore, became legendary, a testament to the fact that a woman scorned, especially a goddess scorned, has the meticulous planning skills of a master strategist and the relentless follow-through of a cosmic detective. Take Io, for instance, a poor, unfortunate soul. Zeus, in one of his less inspired moments, transformed her into a beautiful white cow to hide their dalliance from Hera. Hera, however, wasn't born yesterday. She requested the cow as a gift, then assigned her a 100-eyed watchman, Argus Panoptus, a living surveillance system, a truly ingenious form of divine babysitting. Zeus eventually sent Hermes to free Io, but Hera wasn't far from finished. She sent a gadfly, a persistent tormentor, to sting poor Io relentlessly, driving her across the world in a desperate bovine frenzy. You can almost hear Hera muttering, "Oh, you want to be a cow, do you? Well, let's see how much you enjoy your new life, my dear. Moo-ha-ha!" It's both tragic and darkly humorous, a masterclass in passive-aggressive divine retribution. Then there was Semele, a mortal caught in a divine crossfire. Zeus appeared to her in mortal form, promised her anything she desired, and she, egged on by a disguised Hera, asked to see him in his full divine glory. Zeus, bound by his oath, had no choice but to reveal himself in a blaze of thunder and lightning, which promptly incinerated poor Semele. Hera didn't even need to lift a finger. Her malicious whisper, a serpent in Semele's ear, was enough. It was a cunning, chilling display of power, not through direct force, but through manipulative suggestion, a psychological warfare of cosmic proportions. And Leto, pregnant with Apollo and Artemis, found herself banished from every land, unable to find a place to give birth, thanks to Hera's relentless pursuit, a shadow of vengeance trailing her every step. This unwavering, often disproportionate retribution showed the sheer tenacity of Hera's will, a power forged in pain and channeled into relentless creative vengeance. Her jealousy, a roaring furnace within her, became her weapon, a sharp-edged tool honed by betrayal. But let's pause and look deeper. This relentless pursuit of Zeus's paramours, these elaborate, sometimes cruelly inventive punishments, weren't just the acts of a petulant queen. They stemmed from a profound fear of abandonment, a cold dread gnawing at her regal heart, a terror of being replaced, of her sacred role as queen and wife being utterly devalued. From her vantage point, high on Olympus, she saw her marriage, the very institution she represented, being constantly desecrated by her own husband. Her jealousy, a fierce protective fire, was, in its twisted way, an attempt to defend the sanctity of her domain, to preserve the order she believed in. It was a distorted reflection of her immense power of focus and her unyielding willpower, even if that will was directed towards divine vendettas. Think of it as a divine quality control manager, seeing her product, marriage, being constantly defiled and taking extreme measures to enforce standards, a cosmic auditor of fidelity. The bitter humor in Hera's story lies in the sheer futility of her efforts. No matter how many gadflies she sent, or how many mortals she tormented, Zeus's appetite for romantic adventure remained undimmed. It's almost comical in its Sisyphean struggle, a divine treadmill of exasperation. Yet it also paints a poignant picture of a goddess trapped by her own ideals and her husband's incorrigible nature. She was the goddess of marriage, bound by her sacred duty to an institution that was constantly under siege from within. Her pain, a constant companion, became a source of her power, but a power that consumed her as much as it did her targets. It twisted her compassion, sharpened her cunning, and turned her into a figure both feared and, perhaps, quietly pitied. This is the tragic twist. The very power she embodied, that of fidelity, became her greatest source of suffering, a crown of thorns upon her majestic brow. As you drift further into relaxation, let this story resonate within you. Hera's tale, in all its dramatic glory and comedic despair, begs us to consider the boundaries of love and possession. Does love truly conquer all, even repeated betrayal? Or does it calcify into something else entirely when constantly wounded? Her story reminds us that pain, left unchecked, can transform into a destructive power, a volcanic eruption of the soul, consuming everything in its path, including the one who wields it. The power of fierce loyalty is a magnificent force, but the tragedy of unaddressed jealousy, a festering poison, can eclipse even the brightest flame of affection. May your own connections be free from such anguish, finding strength in trust and peace in understanding. Tonight, as the world above us settles into a gentle slumber, a blanket of quiet descending softly, let your mind drift with me, not upwards to the sun-kissed peaks of Olympus, but downwards, deep into the hushed cavernous realms beneath the earth. We're venturing into the underworld, the formidable kingdom of Hades, a deity often misunderstood, a shadowy figure shrouded in whispers, forever associated with darkness and the solemn finality of death. You might imagine a monstrous overlord, a villain lurking in the gloom, his heart as cold and desolate as the land he governs. But this journey, a lantern cutting through misconception, will unveil a different facet of ancient power, the quiet majesty of shadow, the serene beauty of solitude, and the profound strength a soul can unearth in its deepest, most solitary chambers. It's a twist, a gentle nudge of perspective that reminds us how much we often judge a book by its covers, especially when those covers are made of eternal night. Hades, much like his brothers Zeus and Poseidon, entered the world via the infamous Cronus digestive system express. However, while Zeus was spared this unpleasant journey, Hades, along with his siblings, endured that rather unceremonious re-entry into existence. He was one of the original six, a veteran of the Titanomachy, a battle-hardened soul forged in cosmic fire, fighting alongside his siblings to overthrow their tyrannical father. After the dust settled and the Titans were safely tucked away in Tartarus, the three brothers drew lots to divide the cosmos. Zeus, as you know, got the sky. Poseidon claimed the seas. And Hades? He drew the short straw, a twist of fate as grim as his domain, inheriting the sprawling, subterranean empire of the underworld. You can almost hear the cosmic sigh, a subtle resignation as he accepted his fate. There was no grand celebration, no thunderous applause for the ruler of the dead, just the heavy silence of his new domain settling upon him like a shroud. Now, it's easy to paint Hades as a gloomy, joyless tyrant, a caricature of despair. But consider his realm. It's not a chaotic wasteland, but a kingdom of meticulous order. He doesn't revel in suffering. He presides over the inevitable. Think of him not as a malevolent overlord, but as the cosmic equivalent of a supremely efficient, if somewhat reserved, civil servant, a celestial bureaucrat of the afterlife. He's the ultimate gatekeeper, the impartial judge, ensuring that every soul finds its proper place, that the delicate balance between life and death is maintained. His palace, though built of dark marble and echoing with unseen presences, is a testament to his methodical nature, a masterpiece of solemn architecture. It's where he, alongside his loyal three-headed dog Cerberus, who, let's be honest, is probably just misunderstood and yearns for belly rubs, silently oversees the grand procession of eternity. He's meticulous, detail-oriented, and has a work ethic that would make a mortal accountant weep with envy. This brings us to the profound essence of Hades, his solitude. It wasn't a loneliness born of rejection, a wound festering in his heart, but a solitude inherent to his very role. He resided in a kingdom where the living rarely ventured, and the dead, well, they weren't exactly known for their lively banter or engaging dinner conversations. He was a king whose subjects were by definition unable to voice complaints or offer companionship. He understood the fragile nature of life and the stark finality of death more intimately than any other god, a silent observer of humanity's fleeting dance. This unique perspective, this constant proximity to endings, might explain his reserved nature, his quiet dignity. He was like a cosmic librarian, a keeper of countless narratives, cataloging the ultimate chapter of every existence, understanding that every vibrant beginning must eventually fade into a quiet close. It was into this world of profound solitude that Persephone, a vibrant splash of spring color, quite literally stumbled. You know the story. Hades, captivated by her beauty, abducted her. But let's gently reframe this often harsh narrative. Imagine Hades in his somber realm, observing the fleeting beauty of the mortal world, a distant, shimmering dream. He sees Persephone, daughter of Demeter, dancing in a meadow, a riot of spring blossoms around her. For a god accustomed to shadows and silence, her vibrant energy must have been like a sudden burst of sunlight in his eternal night, a blinding revelation. His act wasn't just brute force. It was a desperate, perhaps clumsy attempt at connection, a clumsy grab at happiness. He desired companionship, not merely a queen, but a partner who could understand the delicate balance of his world, someone to share the profound, quiet burden of his reign. Persephone's journey to the underworld, while initiated by force, became a pivotal moment of transformation. We often see her as a helpless victim, a delicate flower torn from its roots. But in the depths of Hades' kingdom, she didn't merely languish. She tasted the forbidden pomegranate seeds, binding her to the underworld, yes, but also signaling her acceptance, her conscious choice. This wasn't just an act of consumption. It was an act of profound self-definition, a declaration of her blossoming will. She blossomed not into a sad, wilting flower, but into a majestic queen, a dark jewel adorning a shadowy crown. She became Hades' equal, sharing his solemn responsibilities, understanding the nuances of his silent domain. Their love story, then, is not one of captor and captive, but of two solitary souls finding an unexpected connection in the most unlikely of places, a tender flame flickering in eternal night. Their bond, built in the quiet depths, showed that even in the coldest, most desolate corners of existence, the power of love, a resilient vine, can take root and flourish. This profound solitude of Hades, rather than diminishing him, imbued him with a unique form of power. He was not swayed by the fleeting whims of mortals or the petty squabbles of the Olympians. His decisions were weighty, his judgments final, and his presence carried an undeniable gravitas. He was, in essence, the ultimate stoic, a granite statue of composure, unperturbed by superficiality, focused on the deeper currents of existence. He was the manager of the ultimate transition, a cosmic ferryman guiding souls, meticulous with every file, every arriving spirit, ensuring the proper paperwork, or lack thereof, was in order. This attention to detail, this unyielding commitment to his silent duty, revealed his true power, the ability to find purpose and meaning in the seemingly grim, to bring order to chaos, and to stand as a pillar of unwavering calm in the face of the universe's most profound mystery. So as we bring this story to a close, and as you embrace the comforting stillness around you, let's consider the quiet majesty of Hades. His story invites you to accept the shadows within your own soul, the uncharted territories of self, to find power in moments of solitude, and to understand that the end of one cycle is simply the beginning of another. Death, a silent sentinel, is not merely a conclusion, but an intrinsic part of the grand eternal cycle, a cosmic dance of becoming and unbecoming. And even in the deepest shadows, where silence reigns supreme, there can exist a profound dignity, a quiet beauty, and a love that burns with an enduring, gentle flame. May your rest be as profound as the calm in Hades' realm, and may you awaken with a renewed understanding of the intricate balance of life and its many hidden powers. As the last echoes of Hades' quiet domain fade from your thoughts, like a distant bell chiming in the dark, let your senses now awaken to a different kind of ancient power, one that shimmers with an ethereal glow and whispers promises of ecstasy. Tonight, you are invited to immerse yourself in the dazzling aura of Aphrodite, the goddess of love, beauty, and all things delightfully alluring. You might picture her as a living masterpiece, a walking dream wrapped in moonlight and desire, with the power to enchant every heart, a siren's song made flesh. But this journey, a delicate dance on rose petals, will unveil a deeper truth, that beauty and love too are complex powers, a double-edged sword crafted from starlight, capable of bestowing both blessings and curses. We'll ask if true love, a rare and fragile bloom, stems merely from outer allure, or if it demands something far more profound than just a pretty face. Prepare to discover that Cupid's arrow sometimes hit targets even the gods don't expect, a whimsical twist of fate. Her birth story itself is a spectacle of cosmic proportions, a cinematic marvel unfolding on the ocean stage. Unlike the rather chaotic, stomach-churning origins of her Olympian siblings, Aphrodite's arrival was different. She emerged fully formed from the sea foam, a pearly goddess riding a seashell, after Cronus, yes, him again, had a rather unfortunate encounter with his son Zeus and his, well, let's just say a certain unmentionable part ended up in the ocean. From that turbulent mix of sea and ancient power, Aphrodite bloomed, a vision of perfection floating on the waves, glistening with dew and radiance. She didn't have a childhood. She was simply there, fully adult, fully breathtaking, a living testament to the raw generative power of the universe. Imagine skipping the awkward teenage years entirely, a blessing for any immortal, and arriving directly at peak goddess status. Her very presence was a gravitational pull, a cosmic magnet of desire, making every head turn, every heart quicken, every flower bloom a little brighter in her wake. This wasn't just beauty. It was an elemental force, a primal, irresistible current. Her influence, therefore, was immediate and widespread. Gods and mortals alike fell under her spell, like puppets dancing on a string of enchantment. Even the most stoic deities found themselves inexplicably drawn to her, their divine knees buckling under the weight of her charm. She didn't need thunderbolts or a three-pronged spear to wield power. Her weapon was a glance, a smile, a mere whisper, a silken thread weaving spells. She could incite passion, inspire devotion, or twist hearts with effortless ease. You might think, well, that sounds like a lovely job description, and often it was. She was the reason for joyous marriages, passionate embraces, and the creation of beautiful art inspired by love. She was in essence the universe's chief emotional architect, a master weaver of heartstrings, orchestrating everything from profound soulmate connections to utterly chaotic one-night stands. Her touch could turn the most ordinary day into a romantic comedy, a delightful whirlwind of emotion. But for Aphrodite, love wasn't merely a sweet sentiment. It was a grand, intricate game, a cosmic chess match of affection. She wasn't necessarily malicious, but her very essence was the pursuit and celebration of connection, sometimes regardless of the consequences for those involved. Think of her as a well-meaning, if somewhat overzealous matchmaker, a divine Cupid with a mischievous grin, who occasionally got a little too involved in her creations. She loved to stir the pot, to test the boundaries of fidelity, to see how far the ripples of desire would spread. It wasn't about cruelty. It was about the inherent dynamism of love itself, a vibrant, ever-changing dance, which, to her, always involved a bit of drama, a dash of chaos, and a whole lot of tangled emotions. Her games were often less about causing harm, and more about her insatiable fascination with the raw, untamed power of human and divine emotion. Consider her most famous and famously awkward marriage to Hephaestus, the tireless smith god. Hephaestus, god of the forge, was renowned for his skill, his strength, and his limp and unappealing appearance, a stark contrast to Olympus's glistening elite. He was the kind of god who'd rather spend his days covered in soot, hammering away at divine contraptions, than attending lavish Olympian banquets. This union, arranged by Zeus to prevent the other gods from fighting over Aphrodite, was less about passionate love and more about divine damage control, a pragmatic solution to a godly problem. Imagine marrying the most beautiful being in the cosmos to the perpetually busy, socially awkward blacksmith. It's almost a sitcom premise, a divine odd couple. Yet beneath the obvious mismatch, there was a quiet respect. Hephaestus adored her, showering her with exquisite self-made jewelry, treasures forged from his devotion. And Aphrodite, despite her flings, appreciated his steadfastness, his unwavering devotion, even if it wasn't the fiery passion she craved. It was a strange, complicated dance, a silent agreement in a loud world, proving that connections come in many forms, even for the goddess of love. Then there was her notorious affair with Ares, the god of war, a brutal force of nature. Now this was a pairing that made sense in a visceral, explosive way. Hephaestus was the craftsman, the quiet worker. Ares was the embodiment of raw passion, aggression, and unbridled physicality. Their love was a tempest, a wild storm of desire and destruction, loud, passionate, and utterly undeniable. They were the couple who fought constantly, broke things, and probably made up with thunderous embraces, a chaotic symphony of passion. Hephaestus, being the clever inventor he was, famously caught them in a magically crafted, unbreakable net, exposing them to the ridicule of the other gods. You'd think this would deter them, but no. It simply added another layer to their forbidden thrill, a delicious spice to their scandalous stew. Their relationship, tumultuous as it was, showed that even for the goddess of beauty, attraction isn't always logical. Sometimes it's just raw, undeniable chemistry, a spark that ignites despite reason. But the most fascinating twist in Aphrodite's story, a stark reminder that even goddesses aren't immune to petty human emotions, comes with the tale of Psyche. Psyche was a mortal princess, so breathtakingly beautiful that mortals began to worship her instead of Aphrodite, a shocking blasphemy in the divine ranks. Imagine being the goddess of beauty, the undisputed reigning queen, only for a mere mortal to start stealing your worshippers. It was a divine PR nightmare. Aphrodite, in a rare fit of genuine jealousy, a familiar emotion from our last story, isn't it, ordered her son Eros, Cupid, to make Psyche fall in love with the most hideous creature imaginable, a cruel twist of fate. But Eros, in a magnificent act of divine irony, accidentally pricked himself with his own arrow and fell madly in love with Psyche instead, a delicious dose of poetic justice. This rivalry with Psyche, more than any other story, unveils the fragile underbelly of Aphrodite's power. It shows that even absolute beauty can feel threatened, a queen fearing her crown might slip. Her initial reaction was pure, unadulterated envy, a feeling so human it's almost endearing in its ugliness. She put Psyche through a series of impossible tasks, a divine obstacle course of despair, hoping to break her spirit. But Psyche, guided by Eros's secret love and aided by unexpected allies, persevered, proving that inner strength, kindness, and unwavering love could conquer even a goddess's wrath. This was the ultimate twist. The goddess of love was taught a lesson about love by a mortal, a humbling revelation from an unlikely teacher. It revealed that true love isn't something you control or bestow. It's something earned through trials, through faith, and through the sheer resilience of the human spirit. So as this tale of beauty, love, and a touch of divine drama draws to a close, and as you surrender to the gentle pull of sleep, let's ponder the true essence of Aphrodite's power. Is it merely the captivating allure of the physical, a fleeting image in a mirror? Or is it something deeper, something that resides in the profound connection of souls, a bond forged in the crucible of experience? Her story reminds us that beauty, while a potent force, is but a fleeting crown, and true love, a resilient, ever-growing tree, demands more than mere surface appeal. The power of authentic affection, an unbreakable chain of hearts, can indeed overcome all trials, even the whims of an envious goddess. May your dreams be filled with gentle beauty and the warmth of true connection.
As the last lingering whispers of Aphrodite's enchanting, yet often complicated games of love settle into the quiet corners of your mind, like rose petals settling on still water, let us now turn our gaze skyward to a different kind of celestial partnership. Tonight, you, my friend, will embark on a fascinating exploration of two beings who are at once intimately connected and profoundly opposite. Apollo, the radiant god of light, music, and prophecy, a sunbeam personified, and his twin sister, Artemis, the fierce goddess of the moon, the hunt, and untamed wilderness, a shadow dancing in moonlight. This chapter, a meticulously woven tapestry of contrasting threads, will pull back the veil on the sheer power of duality, revealing how light and shadow, creation and destruction, pure intellect and wild instinct don't merely exist side by side, but coalesce to form the essential balance of the entire cosmos. It's like watching a perfectly synchronized dance, a ballet of cosmic forces, where each dancer, though distinct, enhances the other's performance. Their genesis, much like the very dawn, was not without its dramatic flair. Their mother, Leto, a titaness of quiet grace, found herself the unfortunate target of Hera's relentless, scorching jealousy, a wrath as fiery as a dragon's breath. You see, Zeus, in one of his characteristic moments of divine outreach, had impregnated Leto, and Hera, always the vigilant guardian of her marital sanctity and, let's be honest, always looking for an excuse to make someone else's life a living, breathing Greek tragedy, pursued Leto across the globe, forbidding any land to offer her sanctuary for childbirth. Imagine being in labor and having the queen of the gods chasing you with a celestial restraining order, a divine game of cosmic tag. It's enough to make any expectant mother want to find a very, very large rock to hide under. Finally, Leto found refuge on the desolate floating island of Delos, a small, resilient speck in the vast Aegean, a place Hera's decree couldn't quite reach. And there, amidst the olive trees and the sea spray, Artemis was born. And here's a fascinating twist, a subtle shift in the cosmic narrative. Barely out of the womb, Artemis, with a precocious strength that would define her, immediately turned around and helped her mother deliver her twin brother, Apollo. Think about that for a moment. One twin literally helping to bring the other into the world. It's like a divine accelerated birthing class. This shared, intense experience forged an unbreakable bond between them, a silent understanding that transcended mere siblinghood. They were two sides of a single, powerful coin, a luminous bond forged in hardship, forever connected by that harrowing, miraculous entry into existence. Growing up, Apollo, the golden boy, was the epitome of refined grace and immense talent. He mastered the lyre, its notes weaving magic in the air, becoming the god of music, his melodies capable of soothing the wildest beasts and inspiring the loftiest poetry. He also became the god of prophecy, his oracle at Delphi a beacon of cosmic foresight, a guiding light in the mists of fate. Mortals flocked to him for glimpses of their future, seeking his wisdom, a thirst for divine insight. He was the orderly mind, the architect of harmony, the voice of reason and inspiration. Imagine a rock star,
a brilliant scientist, and a renowned therapist, all rolled into impossibly handsome package, a dazzling polymath in a golden toga. He embodied the power of light, not just physical radiance, but the light of knowledge, truth, and rational thought, a beacon cutting through the fog of ignorance. Artemis, on the other hand, was the untamed spirit, the wild heart of the wilderness. She pledged eternal chastity, a fierce, independent streak that set her apart from many of her Olympian counterparts, a solitary star in the cosmic dance. She roamed the untouched forests, accompanied by her loyal pack of hunting hounds and her band of devoted nymphs, their laughter echoing through the ancient trees. She was the mistress of the bow and arrow, her aim as true as destiny's path, a protector of wild animals and a bringer of swift, decisive justice. Where Apollo brought order through harmony, Artemis enforced it through the sharp, clean lines of natural law. She was the cool, calm moon to Apollo's blazing sun, a silent guardian of the night, embodying the power of instinct, fierce independence, and the wild, untamed purity of nature. Their relationship, though distinct in their domains, was one of profound respect and occasional, rather humorous sibling squabbles. Apollo, for all his golden charm, could be somewhat eager in his romantic pursuits, a relentless suitor with a golden touch. Remember the story of Daphne? Apollo, struck by Eros's arrow, another one of those mischievous divine interventions, a cosmic prank played by love, fell madly in love with the nymph Daphne. She, however, wished for eternal chastity, much like Artemis. What followed was a cosmic chase scene, a hilarious yet tragic sprint through the forest, with Apollo pursuing Daphne, his golden curls probably bouncing in slow motion. Daphne, desperate to escape, prayed to her father, a river god, and was transformed into a laurel tree, her delicate skin becoming bark, her hair leaves. Apollo, heartbroken, then adopted the laurel as his sacred tree, forever binding her to him in a bittersweet embrace. It's a poignant reminder that not all desires, even divine ones, can be fulfilled, and sometimes the pursuit of love can lead to unexpected, leafy outcomes. Artemis, on the other hand, was far less tolerant of such romantic entanglements, especially when they infringed upon her sacred solitude or the purity of her wilderness. Consider the unfortunate tale of Actaeon, a mortal hunter in the wrong place at the wrong time. He accidentally stumbled upon Artemis bathing with her nymphs in a sacred grove. Now you might think, oops, wrong turn. But for Artemis, this was an unforgivable transgression against her privacy and her divine purity. Her wrath was swift and absolute. She transformed Actaeon into a stag, his human form dissolving into antlered fear, and then, in a grim twist of poetic justice, had his own hunting hounds tear him to pieces, a brutal lesson echoing through the woods. It's a chilling display of her power, a stark reminder that the wilderness she protected was also capable of immense ferocity, a beautiful, dangerous whisper. While Apollo represented the structured, intellectual side of justice, Artemis was the swift, primal embodiment of natural consequence, a vengeful storm of instinct. Despite these individual escapades and displays of distinct power, their very existence together highlighted the essential cosmic balance. Apollo, with his golden chariot, brought the sun across the sky each day, a fiery chariot lighting the world. Artemis, with her silver bow, guided the moon through the night, a luminous arc in the velvety blackness. He was the god of healing. She could bring sudden plagues. He represented measured truth. She embodied untamed intuition. They were, in essence, the perfect example of cosmic harmony through dichotomy. Imagine the universe as a grand orchestra. Apollo is the precise conductor, his baton waving graceful commands, ensuring every note is in its rightful place, creating melodies that soothe the soul. Artemis is the wild percussionist, her rhythmic beats echoing the untamed pulse of the earth, adding the raw, untamed rhythm, reminding everyone of the primal heartbeat beneath the organized melody. Both were absolutely essential for the symphony of existence to play out, a divine duet of contrasting forces. Their sibling bond wasn't always smooth sailing, as few family dynamics are, even on Olympus. But when it mattered, they stood together, a united front against cosmic threats. They avenged their mother Leto by slaying the monstrous python that Hera had sent to pursue her, showcasing their combined strength and unwavering loyalty. This act cemented their place as formidable deities, but also as a powerful, inseparable unit, a tandem force of nature. It showed that even when light and shadow seem to oppose each other, they can, in fact, work in perfect concert to achieve a greater purpose. Their duality wasn't a weakness, but a profound strength, a hidden power in their mirrored souls. As we conclude this exploration of Apollo and Artemis, and as you allow yourself to sink deeper into a peaceful rest, let this story illuminate a truth about your own world. Life, much like the cosmos they govern, is a constant interplay of light and shadow, order and chaos, intellect and instinct. True balance, a delicate dance on the tightrope of existence, comes not from suppressing one side or the other, but from accepting both, understanding their interplay, and finding harmony in their dance. The power of independence, as fiercely embodied by Artemis, is vital for self-discovery, yet the necessity of connection, as shown by Apollo's longing, is equally profound. May your dreams be filled with a harmonious balance, a quiet understanding of the many opposing yet complementary forces that shape your world.
As the last iridescent shimmer of Aphrodite's tales of love and beauty fades from your inner eye, like morning mist dissolving in the sun, let your mind now turn to a different kind of power, one that beats with the very pulse of the earth itself. Tonight, you, my friend, are invited to contemplate a story as old as the seasons, a timeless drama woven into the very fabric of existence, the tale of Demeter, the benevolent goddess of agriculture, a nurturing spirit whose touch brought forth abundance, and her beloved daughter, Persephone, a vibrant bloom of youth. This narrative, a cycle of sorrow and renewal, will pull back the veil on the profound power of life and death, illuminating the eternal rhythm of rebirth and how the deep ache of loss can, astonishingly, transmute into a fertile strength that ushers in new life. It's a gentle reminder that even the most heartbreaking farewells are often just preludes to a new, unexpected dawn, a whispered promise of spring. Demeter was not your typical Olympian goddess, prone to dramatic pronouncements or celestial squabbles. She was, in essence, the ultimate nurturer, a warm, comforting presence, the cosmic farmer whose green thumb brought forth every grain, every fruit, every vibrant blossom. While Zeus was busy with his thunderbolts and his social calendar, and Poseidon was stirring up oceans, Demeter was quietly ensuring humanity had bread on the table and flowers in their hair. Her love for her daughter Persephone was as boundless as a fertile field, a love deep as the earth's roots, tender and all-consuming. Persephone was her joy, her light, her constant companion as they walked the sun-drenched fields, teaching mortals the secrets of cultivation, a divine duo of harvest happiness. Imagine a mother and daughter, always together, working side by side, sharing whispered secrets under the vast blue sky. It was an idyllic scene, a pastoral dream brought to life, a testament to the quiet yet immense power of shared purpose and unconditional love. But as with all idyllic scenes in Greek mythology, a storm cloud always gathers on the horizon. A twist of fate was lurking just beneath the surface. For you see, the underworld, while well managed by Hades, was a rather lonely place, a kingdom echoing with silent majesty. And Hades, as we learned, desired companionship, a queen to share his profound solitude. His eyes, dark pools of longing, fell upon the radiant Persephone as she gathered wildflowers in a sun-drenched meadow, a splash of vibrant color in his monochrome world. Now, the traditional version paints this as a straightforward abduction, a violent snatching. But let's imagine a subtler nuance, a softer brushstroke on the canvas of myth. Perhaps in that fleeting moment, Hades' profound loneliness reached out to Persephone's youthful curiosity, a whisper of the unknown enticing the innocent. She might have been momentarily drawn by the sheer novelty of a god so different from the boisterous Olympians, a being of quiet depth and immense, if somber, power. Regardless of the exact method, Persephone vanished, swallowed by a chasm that opened beneath her feet, a gaping maw in the earth. And Demeter's world, a vibrant tapestry of green and gold, instantly shattered. Imagine a mother's grief, not just losing a child, but losing her very reason for being, her co-creator of life. Demeter's despair was not merely emotional, it was elemental. Her sorrow rippled through the very fabric of existence, a chilling wave of desolation. The crops withered on the vine, the trees shed their leaves prematurely, and the ground became hard and barren. The world above ground, once teeming with life and bounty, transformed into a desolate wasteland, a canvas painted in shades of gray and frost. It was as if the earth itself mourned with her, every dying plant a tear shed for a lost daughter. Humanity faced starvation, their pleas for help echoing unheard as Demeter, a phantom of sorrow, roamed the world, her heart a frozen tundra. This period of global suffering was a direct manifestation of Demeter's immense power, a cosmic tantrum of grief. Her maternal love, when wounded, transformed into a force capable of paralyzing an entire planet. She didn't wield thunderbolts like Zeus or cause earthquakes like Poseidon. Her power was the subtle, life-giving pulse of the earth, and when that pulse faltered, the world shuddered. The divine assembly on Olympus, initially perhaps too busy with their own dramas, soon realized the gravity of the situation. Starving mortals couldn't offer sacrifices, their desperate prayers too weak to rise, which meant the gods were effectively cut off from their primary source of reverence and nourishment. Zeus, ever the pragmatist, a cosmic problem solver, knew something had to be done. He sent messenger after messenger to Hades, begging for Persephone's return. But Hades, a king with a newly discovered treasure, was surprisingly resolute.
The twist, of course, was the pomegranate. Persephone, while in the underworld, had eaten a few seeds of a pomegranate, a fruit offered to her by Hades. This act, a fateful bite of crimson desire, bound her to the realm of the dead. It was the ancient world's version of signing a very binding contract, a divine prenuptial agreement with a twist. When Zeus finally intervened, a compromise was struck. Persephone would spend part of the year with her mother in the world above, bringing forth spring and summer, and the other part with Hades in the underworld, ushering in autumn and winter. It was a beautiful, bittersweet solution, a cosmic divorce settlement with visitation rights, a testament to the power of negotiation even among gods. And so the seasons were born, a rhythmic dance of warmth and cold, a direct consequence of Demeter's grief and Persephone's journey. Winter, a quiet lament, became Demeter's period of mourning as she yearned for her daughter's return. Spring, a joyous explosion of green, was the world's celebration of Persephone's re-emergence. This cycle, repeated endlessly, highlights the profound interplay between loss and renewal, a constant reminder that endings are simply beginnings disguised, a seamless transition in nature's grand play. But let's broaden our view of Persephone. She wasn't merely a pawn in a divine custody battle. She transformed. When she first arrived in the underworld, she was perhaps a frightened maiden, a tender sapling in a dark forest. But by the time she returned to the surface, she was a queen, a sovereign forged in shadow and light. She had walked through the realms of the dead, understood their solemn laws, and taken her place beside Hades, not as a captive, but as a co-ruler. She developed an authority, a quiet strength, and a wisdom born from understanding both the vibrant pulse of life and the silent dignity of death. Mortals, in time, would pray to her not just as Demeter's daughter, but as the formidable queen of the underworld, seeking her mercy, her guidance for safe passage, and her unique understanding of the ultimate balance. She represents the power of transformation, a chrysalis shedding its skin, not just seasonal, but emotional, the shift from innocence to wisdom, from being taken to taking control, a metamorphosis of the soul. Persephone, then, became the goddess of duality, a living paradox of divine grace. She walks through fields of vibrant flowers and across the desolate plains of bone with equal grace and understanding. She is the reason flowers bloom, a whisper of life in every petal, and the reason they eventually wilt, a gentle reminder of life's fleeting breath. Her story offers a powerful twist, that even in the most profound darkness there can be beauty, purpose, and the unexpected blossoming of power. It's a testament to the resilience of the spirit, the ability to adapt and to find agency even in circumstances that initially seem crushing. So as this evocative tale of the seasons and the soul gently fades, allowing you to settle even deeper into a restful state, Let's absorb its quiet wisdom. The cycle of life and death, a cosmic ebb and flow, is an unavoidable truth, not a punishment, but part of a grander design. Even in moments of profound loss and despair, a heavy cloak of sorrow, there exists the seed of hope, the promise of rebirth, and the power to find new meaning. The power of a mother's love, an unbreakable cord of affection, is a force that can literally reshape the world. And the quiet dignity of accepting one's destiny, even an unexpected one, can transform a perceived weakness into an undeniable strength. May your sleep be as restorative as the spring after a long winter, and may you awaken with a renewed sense of the eternal cycles that govern all things.
As the gentle rhythm of Demeter's sorrow and Persephone's transformation lulls your spirit like a comforting lullaby from the ancient earth, prepare now to witness a clash of titans, not the ancient earth-shaking kind, but a different sort of powerful duality that permeates every conflict, every decision, every heartbeat of existence. Tonight, you, my friend, will stand on the very battlefield where the sharp edges of strategy meet the raw force of impulse, where the calm eye of wisdom confronts the blinding rage of chaos. We're zooming in on the profound opposition between Athena, the formidable goddess of strategic warfare and profound wisdom, a mind like a polished diamond, and Ares, the primal god of brutal war and untamed violence, a living, breathing storm of fury. This story, a meticulous unraveling of contrasting forces, will pull back the veil on the power of reason versus instinct, revealing how these two elemental forces perpetually clash and shape history, etching their marks on every civilization. We'll ask where the line truly lies between glorious victory and blind, devastating destruction, a razor's edge in the fog of war, and how our own internal battles often mirror these divine struggles. Athena's birth, much like her very nature, was anything but ordinary. It wasn't the traditional mythological birthing suite. There were no labor pains, no swaddling clothes, just a rather severe headache for Zeus, a divine migraine of epic proportions. You see, Metis, the goddess of wisdom and cunning, was pregnant with Athena, but Zeus, ever paranoid about prophecies, especially those concerning his throne, a seat forever vibrating with anxiety, had swallowed Metis whole. Yes, another swallowing incident. It seems a recurring theme in the Zeus family tree. But wisdom, it turns out, is difficult to contain. Eventually, Zeus developed an unbearable headache, a cosmic throbbing behind his eyes, so agonizing he cried out for Hephaestus, the smith god, to split his skull open. And from his mighty brow, fully grown, fully armored, and fully magnificent, sprang Athena, a burst of pure intellect and martial grace. Imagine that for a birth announcement. It's a girl, and she's already wearing a helmet. This unique origin story is key to understanding Athena. She was born of pure thought, of strategic foresight, and of Zeus's very own mind, a living testament to intellectual power. She embodied wisdom, not just as abstract knowledge, but as practical intelligence, cunning strategy, and the disciplined application of skill. She was the goddess of defensive warfare, of justice, and of arts and crafts, and of reasoned discourse. When she went to war, it wasn't for the thrill of bloodshed,
but for the calculated pursuit of victory, for the protection of civilization, and for the triumph of justice. She was the general who planned every move on a grand chessboard, her mind a labyrinth of tactical brilliance, foreseeing every counter, every potential pitfall. You could almost hear her muttering, "Amateurs, always rushing in without a battle plan." Then we have Ares, oh Ares. Where Athena was born of intellect, Ares was born of raw, unadulterated passion and brute force. He was the son of Zeus and Hera, and perhaps inherited a bit of Hera's fiery temper, and Zeus's, let's say, lack of refined emotional control, a potent cocktail of divine impulsivity. He reveled in the chaos of battle, a furious dance of death and destruction, the clang of swords, the screams of the fallen, the sheer visceral thrill of combat. He was the embodiment of aggression, of bloodlust, of that kind of war that burns with a blind, insatiable hunger. He didn't strategize, he charged. He didn't plan, he reacted. He was the wild beast of the battlefield, a rampaging bull in a china shop of diplomacy, a direct contrast to Athena's cool, calculating demeanor. If Athena was a surgeon, precise and deliberate, Ares was a butcher, broad and messy. Their relationship on Olympus was, predictably, a constant, silent war of ideals. While other gods might occasionally bicker, Athena and Ares represented two fundamentally opposing philosophies of conflict. Zeus, often exasperated by Ares's impulsivity and love for violence for its own sake, often favored Athena, seeing her as the more civilized and effective warrior. Imagine Zeus, the ultimate patriarch, shaking his head and sighing, "Why can't you be more like your sister, Ares? So much less messy." It was a constant source of divine frustration for Ares, a burning ember of resentment, who likely felt Athena was merely a bookworm who got lucky with her birth.
Their most famous clash, a microcosm of their opposing natures, played out during the Trojan War. Athena, ever the champion of heroes and righteous causes, actively supported the Achaeans, Greeks, offering strategic advice, protecting favored warriors like Odysseus and Diomedes, and even participating directly in battles with a tactical finesse that left Ares fuming. She would guide a spear to its true mark, a whisper of divine precision, deflect an incoming blow, an invisible shield of protection, or inspire a surge of courage in a wavering soldier. Ares, on the other hand, was purely driven by the excitement of the fight. He'd switch sides depending on where the action was hottest, sowing discord, reveling in the carnage, and often suffering humiliating defeats at the hands of Athena's chosen champions, or even Athena herself. At one point, Diomedes, a mortal hero, actually managed to wound Ares with Athena's help, sending the great god of war howling back to Olympus, a cosmic crybaby with a flesh wound. Imagine the gossip on Olympus. Did you hear? Ares got schooled by a mortal, and Athena was practically cheering. This highlights the core difference. Athena understood that war was a means to an end, a grim necessity for justice or defense. Ares saw war as an end in itself, a glorification of violence, a brutal, intoxicating dance.
Athena's power was in her mind, her ability to anticipate, to outmaneuver, to leverage strategy over brute force. Ares' power was raw, untamed might, a surge of adrenaline and aggression that, while terrifying, could often be outwitted. A powerful bull easily led astray by a clever matador. This is the subtle twist. The seemingly less physically imposing goddess consistently outmaneuvered the embodiment of brute strength, proving that true power lies not just in the brawn of the arm, but in the brilliance of the mind. Consider another tale that illuminates Athena's wisdom. Her contest with Poseidon for patronage of the city of Athens. Both gods presented gifts to the nascent city. Poseidon, with his grand, boisterous flair, struck his trident into the Acropolis, producing a spring of salt water, symbolizing naval power, a salty promise of maritime might. A useful gift, perhaps, but not quite what a growing city needed. Athena, however, with quiet elegance and foresight, presented the olive tree. It provided food, olives, oil for cooking, lighting, anointing, and wood for building. A multifaceted, sustainable gift, a symbol of peace and prosperity. The Athenians, with practical wisdom, perhaps inspired by Athena herself, chose her gift, recognizing its profound utility over Poseidon's flashy but less practical offering. It wasn't about who had the biggest splash. It was about who offered lasting value, a testament to enduring foresight. This story underscores Athena's understanding that true power builds, nurtures, and sustains rather than merely dominate. Ares, in contrast, rarely built anything. He was a force of destruction, pure and simple. His stories often revolve around him causing trouble, engaging in petty feuds, or being outwitted. While he was fearsome on the battlefield, the other gods often found him disruptive and distasteful, a boorish guest at a refined dinner party. He symbolized the darkest aspects of human conflict, the mindless rage, the thirst for blood, the sheer joy in inflicting pain. His power was immediate, terrifying, and often ultimately self-defeating. You might even find a grim humor in his frequent failures, a cautionary tale writ large in divine fiascos, a reminder that even the most aggressive bully can be brought down by a clever opponent. So, as this tale of divine duality gently draws you into a deeper state of relaxation, let's reflect on the profound lessons embedded in the clash between Athena and Ares. War, you see, is never just about violence. It is fundamentally a battle of intellects, a chessboard played out with lives. The power of reason, a steady lamp in the darkness, when wielded with strategic foresight and a clear purpose, can lead to victories far more enduring and meaningful than the fleeting triumph of brute force. It's about understanding when to fight, how to fight, and perhaps most importantly, why to fight. This story asks us to look inward at our own conflicts, whether internal or external. Do we charge blindly like Ares, driven by raw emotion? Or do we pause, plan, and proceed with the calculated wisdom of Athena? The ultimate power, a quiet force shaping destinies, isn't just about imposing your will, but about intelligently navigating the complexities of any battle, leading not just with might, but with mind. May your slumber be filled with profound insights, and may you awaken with the clarity to choose wisdom over impulse in all your endeavors. As the echoes of Athena's strategic wisdom and Ares's fiery impulsiveness fade into the tranquil corners of your mind, like distant thunder rolling into silence, prepare now to explore a different, yet equally vital realm of ancient power. Tonight, you, my friend, will encounter two gods whose might lies not in thunderbolts or battle cries, but in the nimble hand and the sharp mind. Hermes, the quick-witted messenger god, a blur of divine speed and cunning, and Hephaestus, the master craftsman and divine blacksmith, a quiet genius cloaked in soot. This journey, a fascinating exploration of ingenuity and unseen links, will pull back the veil on the profound power of invention, the exquisite artistry of skill, and the intricate ways in which all things, from the cleverest ideas to the most magnificent masterpieces, are connected, shaping the very fabric of existence. It's a testament to the quiet, persistent hum of creativity that underpins the grand spectacle of the cosmos, a symphony of innovation playing in the background. Hermes, the son of Zeus and the nymph Maia, was a prodigy of precociousness, a mischievous spark from the moment of his birth. He wasn't even a day old when he demonstrated his extraordinary talents. While his mother, Maia, slept, little Hermes, with the stealth of a shadow, slipped out of his swaddling clothes, a tiny Houdini escaping his silken prison. His first act as an infant god? He stole Apollo's sacred cattle. Imagine a newborn god, barely able to crawl, orchestrating a cattle heist. It's utterly absurd and utterly brilliant, a divine comedy in miniature. Apollo, of course, was furious, demanding the return of his prize herd. But Hermes, with his innate charm and quick thinking, simply took a tortoise shell, strung some gut across it, and invented the lyre, its first notes a melody of cunning. He then played such a beautiful tune that Apollo, the god of music, was instantly captivated, forgetting all about his missing cattle in a moment of pure artistic enchantment. He traded the lyre for the cattle, a divine plea bargain, a whimsical exchange of livestock for song. This story, a delightful anecdote of early genius, perfectly encapsulates Hermes, cunning, charming, a master of persuasion, and an inventor of boundless creativity. He was a god who thought outside the box, then probably folded the box into a clever hat. Hephaestus, on the other hand, had a birth story that was anything but charming. He was the son of Hera, who, in a fit of pique after Zeus had given birth to Athena from his head, without her involvement, a cosmic slight to her divine pride, decided to produce a child all on her own. The result was Hephaestus, born with a withered leg, physically imperfect, and, to Hera's dismay, rather unsightly. Imagine being the queen of the gods, known for her regal beauty, and then having a baby who doesn't quite meet the divine aesthetic standards. Hera, in a moment of shocking cruelty, a harsh judgment delivered without mercy, literally hurled him from Mount Olympus, a celestial projectile of parental disgust. He fell for an entire day and night, landing in the ocean, where he was rescued and raised by sea nymphs. This early trauma, this profound rejection, shaped Hephaestus in ways no other god could understand. It set him apart, a solitary figure forged in pain, fostering a deep empathy for the outcast and a fierce independence. Despite his physical disability and early abandonment, Hephaestus became the master craftsman of the gods, his hands imbued with divine artistry. He channeled his pain, his isolation, and his boundless ingenuity into creation. His forge, deep within a volcano, was a place of constant industry, a symphony of clanging hammers and roaring fire. Hephaestus was the ultimate engineer, a divine Da Vinci of the ancient world, capable of crafting anything from the most formidable weapons, like Zeus's thunderbolts and Achilles' legendary armor, each piece a marvel of divine engineering, to even intricate automated servants of gold and silver. He even crafted the throne that trapped Hera, a poetic piece of revenge designed with cunning and precision, a silent protest against her cruelty. He was a quiet, unassuming genius, often overlooked for his looks, but whose contributions were absolutely essential to the smooth running and occasional warring of the divine world.
Hermes, with his winged sandals, and Caduceus, was the ultimate connector, a living bridge between realms. He wasn't just Zeus's personal delivery service. He was the god of travelers, merchants, thieves, yes, a bit of a trickster, a charming rogue with nimble fingers, and, most importantly, communication. He traversed the boundaries between Olympus, the mortal world, and even the shadowy underworld with effortless ease, a phantom flitting through dimensions. He was the one who guided souls to the afterlife, ensuring a smooth transition. Think of him as the ancient world's supreme network administrator, a cosmic broadband provider, ensuring all messages got through, all connections were made, and all transactions, even the illicit ones, ran smoothly. His quick wit, his persuasive tongue, and his boundless energy made him invaluable, the ultimate facilitator. He could talk his way into or out of anything, his words like honeyed traps. Hephaestus, in his own way, also connected worlds, but through his creations. He translated raw elements, earth, fire, metal, into objects of divine power and intricate beauty, his forge a crucible of transformation. He built the chariots that carried the gods across the sky, the magnificent palaces on Olympus, and the complex mechanisms that powered various divine schemes. He even created Pandora, the first mortal woman, a masterpiece of clay and divine intention, commissioned by Zeus. He connected the abstract desires of the gods to tangible reality, a silent architect of divine will. His power wasn't loud or flashy. It was the fundamental power of making, of building, of turning an idea into something real and functional. He was the unsung hero, the quiet force behind the scenes, ensuring the Olympians had all the necessary divine gadgets to continue their dramatic lives. The subtle humor in their stories often comes from their contrasting personalities. Hermes, the charming, cheeky rogue, always up for a prank or a clever scheme.
Hephaestus, the quiet, brooding artisan, often misunderstood, more comfortable with his tools than with the grand pronouncements of his fellow gods. Imagine Hermes trying to get Hephaestus to join in on some divine prank, a mischievous imp nudging a grumpy bear. Hephaestus would probably just grunt and go back to hammering, muttering about the structural integrity of Zeus's latest lightning bolt. Yet they both represented crucial aspects of progress and connection. Hermes streamlined communication, making the vastness of the cosmos feel a little smaller, a little more accessible. Hephaestus provided the tools, the infrastructure, the very physical objects that allowed the gods, and eventually mortals, to interact with their world in new ways. Their stories, therefore, offer a powerful twist, that true power isn't always about thunder and might. It's often found in the quiet hum of innovation, a silent revolution unfolding, in the delicate skill of creation, a dance of precision and vision, and in the seamless flow of connection, an invisible web binding all things. Hephaestus, the discarded god, became indispensable, proving that worth is found not in appearance or birthright, but in skill and dedication. Hermes, the playful trickster, became the ultimate diplomat, showing that even the most mischievous spirit can be channeled for profound purpose. As this narrative of ingenuity and connection gently guides you into a deeper, more peaceful sleep, consider the profound lessons of Hermes and Hephaestus. Power, you see, doesn't solely reside in physical strength or overwhelming authority. It blossoms from intelligence, a seed of brilliance taking root, from boundless creativity, a wellspring of endless possibilities, and from the ability to bridge gaps, to connect disparate elements, to communicate effectively. Both gods, in their unique ways, demonstrate that humanity's greatest advancement, its deepest understanding, and its most beautiful creations stem from the interplay of clever ideas and skilled execution. May your dreams be filled with innovative sparks and harmonious connections, and may you awaken with a renewed appreciation for the ingenuity that surrounds you and the power within you to create and connect. As the intricate melodies of Hermes' clever connections and Hephaestus's masterful creations gently fade from your inner ear, like the last echo of a finely tuned instrument, prepare now to witness a fascinating interplay of two profoundly different, yet equally essential ancient powers. Tonight, you, my friend, are invited to contemplate the serene warmth of Hestia, the quiet goddess of the hearth and home, a steady flame in a tumultuous world, the very embodiment of inner peace. And then we'll juxtapose her stillness with the exhilarating, often intoxicating energy of Dionysus, the vibrant god of wine, revelry, and untamed joy, a whirlwind of laughter and liberation. This chapter, a dance between stillness and movement, will pull back the veil on the power of internal tranquility and the exhilarating force of joyful abandon, revealing how both are absolutely vital for navigating the complex tapestry of life and for unearthing true happiness. It's a whimsical exploration that suggests sometimes the deepest peace is found in quiet contemplation, and sometimes it's found in a good old-fashioned wine-soaked party, a delightful paradox of the divine. Hestia's story begins not with a grand entrance or a dramatic escape from a stomach, but with a quiet steadfastness. She was the eldest daughter of Kronos and Rhea, meaning she was the first to be swallowed by her paranoid father and the last to be regurgitated, a quiet veteran of Kronos's digestive drama. Yet, unlike her siblings, who clamored for power and carved out grand domains, Hestia chose a different path. She famously took a vow of eternal chastity, refusing the romantic advances of both Poseidon and Apollo, a steadfast refusal of fleeting desires. Her desire wasn't for a throne or for external glory, but for something far more profound, inner peace and the sanctity of the home. When the Olympians established their grand council on Mount Olympus, there were originally 12 seats. Hestia, with a wisdom beyond her years, voluntarily relinquished her seat to Dionysus, choosing instead to tend to the sacred hearth fire of Olympus, a quiet sentinel of warmth and light. Imagine for a moment if you were Hestia. You could have been a queen, commanding armies or sailing vast oceans, yet you chose the steady, humble flame. Her power wasn't overt. It was the subtle, foundational strength of the home, the family, and the community. She was the silent anchor, an unwavering beacon of domestic harmony, the goddess who ensured meals were cooked, hearths were warm, and families felt safe. Every home in ancient Greece had an altar to Hestia, a small central flame that symbolized her comforting presence. She represented the power of stability, of rootedness, and of finding profound meaning in the seemingly mundane. She was the quiet hum of contentment, a gentle melody of domestic bliss, the unshakable calm amidst the divine drama and mortal chaos. If you could taste her power, it would be like the aroma of freshly baked bread, a comforting embrace for the soul. Now, let's swing to the other end of the spectrum and meet Dionysus. His birth story is as wild and unconventional as he is. He was the son of Zeus and Semele, a mortal princess. As you might recall from Hera's story, Hera, in her vengeful fury, tricked Semele into asking Zeus to appear in his full divine glory, which incinerated her. But Zeus, ever the resourceful and somewhat irresponsible father, managed to rescue his unborn son from Semele's ashes and, in a truly bizarre turn of events, sewed him into his own thigh to gestate, a divine incubator in a god's leg. Imagine the discomfort. For months, Zeus had a god baby growing in his leg. When Dionysus was finally born from Zeus's thigh, he was, quite literally, a twice-born god, a phoenix rising from the ashes of mortality. This unique origin gave him a profound connection to both the divine and the mortal world, and perhaps a lifelong aversion to tailored pants. Dionysus was a god unlike any other. He wasn't neatly categorized. He was a god of contradiction. He was the god of wine, of revelry, of ecstasy, of theater, and of liberation. He brought joy, yes, but often a wild, intoxicating joy that bordered on madness. His followers, the Maenads, would typically be women who, under his influence, would shed their inhibitions, dance wildly, and occasionally, with alarming enthusiasm, tear animals apart with their bare hands, a primal frenzy unleashed. He challenged norms, dissolved boundaries, and celebrated the untamed, instinctive side of human nature. If you were in his presence, you'd feel an irresistible urge to dance, to sing, to lose yourself in the moment, a captivating current pulling you into blissful abandon.
The contrast between Hestia and Dionysus couldn't be starker. Hestia represents the controlled, contained fire of the hearth, a warm glow illuminating the sanctuary of home. Dionysus represents the wild, uncontained fire of passion, a raging bonfire of pure emotion. Hestia's power is in her stillness, her gentle presence that brings comfort and order. Dionysus's power is in his movement, his electrifying energy that brings chaos, liberation, and profound joy. One offers sanctuary, the other offers escape. One encourages quiet reflection, the other invites exuberant celebration, yet both are essential for a complete existence. Consider the role of their respective worship. Hestia was honored through quiet daily rituals, a steady offering of gratitude in every home. Her presence was felt in the warmth of the hearth, the shared meal, the peaceful gathering of family. There were no wild festivals, no frenzied dances dedicated solely to her. Her worship was woven into the very fabric of daily life, a silent prayer in every domestic act. Dionysus, on the other hand, was celebrated with elaborate, boisterous festivals, the Dionysia, where inhibitions were shed, social classes blurred, and the intoxicating power of wine and music reigned supreme. These were times of radical release, of profound joy, and sometimes of unsettling abandon. Imagine yourself in a Dionysian festival. The rhythmic chanting, the hypnotic music, the shared laughter, the sense of absolute freedom, a joyous delirium sweeping you off your feet. It was a safe space for primal instincts to flourish, for the wild heart to dance without judgment. The twist here is that despite their apparent opposition, Hestia and Dionysus offer different paths to happiness and fulfillment. Hestia teaches us the power of finding contentment within, of cherishing the simple, enduring comforts of home and inner peace. She reminds us that true sanctuary can be found not just in a place, but within oneself, a quiet garden of the soul. Dionysus, conversely, teaches us the power of letting go, of embracing the chaotic, joyful, and even slightly mad aspects of life. He reminds us that true liberation can come from shedding our inhibitions, connecting with our primal selves, and finding ecstasy in shared experiences and unrestrained joy. Both are valid, both are necessary. Imagine a life without Hestia's quiet comfort. It would be a life without a center, without a hearth to return to, a ship adrift in a stormy sea. A life of constant motion, constant external stimulation, without the anchoring warmth of home. Now imagine a life without Dionysus's wild joy. It would be a life of endless routine, of stifled emotions, a world without laughter, without celebration, a monochrome existence devoid of vibrant hues. It would be an existence devoid of spontaneous bursts of happiness, of the sheer unadulterated pleasure of being alive and connected to something larger than oneself. So, as this contemplation of stillness and revelry guides you deeper into a serene sleep, let's reflect on the profound balance embodied by Hestia and Dionysus. Happiness, you see, is not a single path, but a dynamic interplay. It can blossom from the quiet inner sanctuary of peace, a gentle flicker of contentment, or from the explosive, uninhibited joy of celebration and release, a roaring bonfire of delight. The power of balance lies in recognizing that both the stillness and the wildness, the order and the chaos, the internal calm and the external ecstasy are essential ingredients for a meaningful and fulfilling life. May your dreams be a harmonious blend of profound peace and joyful abandon. And may you awaken with a renewed understanding that true well-being embraces both the quiet hearth and the dancing revelry.
As the last harmonious whispers of Hestia's inner peace and Dionysus's wild, liberating joy gently fade from the edges of your awareness, like the final, lingering notes of a beautiful symphony, we embark on the concluding chapter of our journey through the dazzling, often bewildering world of the ancient Greek gods. Tonight, my friend, you will discover that ancient power isn't just found in the thunderbolts of Zeus or the earth-shaking might of Poseidon. It's intricately woven into the very fabric of emotions, the gravity of decisions, and the profound lessons these immortal beings, in all their glorious imperfections, impart to us. This culmination, a grand tapestry woven from cosmic threads, will summarize the myriad forms of power we've unveiled, connecting their divine struggles and triumphs to the ebb and flow of your own life, gently guiding you into a peaceful slumber filled with deep, resonant reflections. From the very beginning, with Zeus, we peeled back the gilded layers of absolute authority, seeing how power, while intoxicating, also brings immense burdens and endless temptations, a gilded cage of responsibility. You witnessed how Hera's fierce loyalty transmuted into a searing, often destructive jealousy, a wildfire born of betrayal, reminding us that even the purest devotion can turn corrosive if left unchecked. With Hades, we journeyed into the solemn dignity of solitude, discovering that power can be found in stillness, in acceptance, and in understanding the cyclical nature of existence, a quiet strength blooming in the shadows. Aphrodite then showed us the enchanting, yet complex power of beauty and love, a force that can bless or curse, always reminding us that true connection goes far beyond superficial charm, a shimmering illusion versus a profound truth. You then saw the fascinating duality of Apollo and Artemis, the interplay of light and shadow, reason and wild instinct, a cosmic ballet of opposites. Their story taught us that balance isn't about choosing one extreme, but about embracing the harmonious tension between them. Demeter and Persephone revealed the poignant power of life, death, and the eternal cycle, showing us that even in the deepest grief there is the promise of renewal, a fertile ground for rebirth. And most recently, Hermes and Hephaestus illuminated the often overlooked power of ingenuity, creation, and seamless connection, reminding us that true strength lies not just in brawn, but in brilliant minds and skillful hands, a quiet revolution of invention. Throughout this cosmic saga, a recurring truth has emerged. These gods, for all their immense power and divine status, were, in essence, profoundly human, a grand mirror reflecting our own flaws and virtues. They grappled with ambition, a burning fire in their immortal hearts, yearned for love, a universal hunger, succumbed to jealousy, a bitter poison, feared abandonment, a cold dread, and celebrated with unbridled joy. Zeus, despite his thunderbolts, was a fickle husband. Hera, the queen, was consumed by rage. Hades, the king of the dead, experienced profound loneliness. Aphrodite, the embodiment of beauty, knew envy. Ares, the god of war, was often a petulant bully. Apollo and Artemis, for all their divine grace, had their moments of vindictive justice. Demeter suffered a mother's heartbreak, and even Hermes and Hephaestus, for all their brilliance, navigated their own quirks and challenges. They were, in essence, amplified versions of ourselves, our passions and flaws writ large across the cosmic canvas, making their stories timeless lessons, not just fantastical tales. What profound lessons can you, my friend, glean from these ancient echoes as you settle deeper into tranquility? Consider Zeus's struggle with absolute power. It's a reminder to examine your own influence, however small, and wield it with responsibility, understanding that even the gentlest touch can ripple outwards, a stone cast in a pond. From Hera's consuming jealousy, we learn the vital importance of managing our emotions, understanding that unchecked anger can burn the very bridges we hold dear, a self-inflicted wound disguised as vengeance. Hades' quiet dignity in his solitary reign invites us to find strength and purpose in our own moments of solitude, accepting that true connection often begins with a deep understanding of self, a quiet communion with the soul. Aphrodite's tales, charming yet complex, whisper a timeless truth, that while beauty may open doors, it's true love, built on connection and resilience, that truly binds, a golden thread woven through time. The harmonious duality of Apollo and Artemis reminds us that life flourishes when we embrace both the structured and the wild, the light and the shadow, finding equilibrium in their delicate dance, a constant negotiation of opposing forces. Demeter and Persephone's poignant narrative teaches us that even profound loss carries the seed of renewal, that winter always gives way to spring, and that transformation often follows heartbreak, a rebirth from the ashes of sorrow. And finally, Hermes and Hephaestus, the clever and the creative, celebrate the power of ingenuity and connection, urging us to value the brilliance of the mind and the skill of the hand, and to recognize that every communication, every creation, links us all in a vast, intricate web, an invisible tapestry of shared existence. The greatest power, dear friend, that has been unveiled throughout this entire journey is perhaps not found in wielding thunder or summoning the seas. It lies instead in the profound ability to understand yourself, a deep dive into the ocean of your being, to accept your own complexities, your ambitions and fears, your joys and sorrows, and to find peace within the beautiful, often messy paradoxes of the world. It is the power to navigate your own personal Olympus, a journey through your inner landscape, with wisdom, compassion, and a touch of that ancient, enduring resilience. Whether you are a mighty god or a humble mortal, the truest strength lies in your capacity to learn, to grow, and to find meaning in the grand tapestry of your own life. As you drift now deeper and deeper into the embrace of sleep, imagine Mount Olympus not as a distant, chaotic realm, but as a tranquil, shimmering landscape within your mind. The gods and goddesses, with all their human-like emotions and divine wisdom, are now quiet, their stories echoing softly in the chambers of your consciousness, a gentle hum of ancient truths. Feel the soft moonlight of Artemis, the warm glow of Hestia's hearth, the calming silence of Hades' realm, and the gentle breeze of Hermes' passing. Let these ancient tales, these profound lessons, continue to unfold in your dreams, a cinematic journey through the realms of myth and meaning. You are safe. You are held, and the wisdom of Olympus is yours to embrace. Sleep deeply, sleep well, and know that these stories and the quiet power they contain will always be here, ready to greet you when you return. And now, as these ancient tales gently draw to a close, I truly hope your soul has found a peaceful harbor, brimming with profound contemplation. Thank you for journeying with me through Olympus, exploring these eternal powers. May you find truly restorative sleep, your dreams carrying you to wondrous mythological realms. If your heart feels a gentle resonance, please tenderly press the like button and subscribe to our channel so we can continue to explore. And please don't forget to share your thoughts below so we may always stay connected. Sweet dreams.